All right, let's make sure that the mics are live. My mic's live. Is your guys'
Can you hear me?
mic live? Yeah,
Am I live?
Is
you're
my mic
live.
live?
Yes.
I got the green box.
Yes, we're
Thank you for
all
not
live.
revenge muting me. Like that time I did that to you.
Not what now?
Thank you for not revenge muting me like that time I
Oh.
did that to you.
Absolutely. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Let's get into
Miles to go.
it. Yeah. Let me adjust the window here. All right. Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And today we're going to be taking a look at the Sony Marvel Universe adjacent film, Madam Web, from earlier this year, in anticipation of a few things, including Venom: The Last Dance and my trip this week to New York Comic Con. So, before we get into this, how you guys doing? How's your week been?
Man. I can't believe it's Tuesday. It feels like it should be Friday or next Sunday. It has been such a long week.
It's my Thursday because I have a short week at work because of Comic Con. So I feel you.
Is it one of those where you're like, you came into it knowing it's a short week and then it just feels longer because you're like, this week will fly by, and it doesn't?
Yeah, today was the longest day. Like, I felt like Jack Bauer today is the longest day of my life. Yeah. Ryan, how are you?
I could be better. I'm
Oh
hurting.
no! Why are you hurting? What's going on?
I cut my finger trying to cut a bagel on Saturday. And then later on Saturday, I was playing with my cat, and his claw caught the tip of my nose, so that's still healing. And I either sprained my wrist or ruined a tendon in my wrist. I'll find that out on Friday.
Oh no, Ryan, you're falling apart.
Yeah.
I am falling apart.
I didn't mean to laugh at you getting hurt cutting the bagel. That does really, really suck. It just very much reminded me of The Office when like Michael Scott stepped on the waffle pan.
The George Foreman grill.
My thing was
that was it.
My thing was kind of as stupid. It was like the first thing I did after I woke up, and I woke up, and even before getting coffee, I was like, I'm hungry. I'm gonna have a bagel. And I just grabbed a bagel and I just started cutting even before I was like fully awake. And the like bagel knife that we have like slipped and caught like the very edge of my finger, like right by the nail. And it's just small enough and not deep enough for it to need stitches, but it's like right on that border. So like, yeah.
That's annoying.
I have a hack for that. I keep all of my knives at a very dull edge. It makes cutting tomatoes a pain.
No, you don't. No.
Here's my hack for that. I buy pre-sliced bagels. Or have somebody slice my bagels for me, because there's a few good bagel shops around me. They just opened one called the Bagel Boutique that has like a Fruity Pebbles bagel.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
They don't do bagels really here. I want them.
I'll have to take you to the bagel place when you're in town.
I don't feel like I'm dressed well enough for the Bagel Boutique. I'll have to bring my finery.
It's okay.
What, like a pullover sweater?
At minimum, my guess is at least biz cash, if not more.
Yeah, no, just walk in with the hoodie and sweatpants. You're fine. Just walk in with a hoodie.
I'm gonna eat so many bagels next week. Later this week when I'm in New York, like every day I'm just gonna get bagels, because that's what I did when I was there last week. I was like, found a bagel place right around from my hotel, went there every day and got a different bagel.
That's so cool. I'm so jealous.
With all the different kinds of cream cheese too, like just a cooler case of cream cheese options. It's amazing.
Let me live vicariously through you and just send those to me while you're doing it.
I will.
I want to know. Good.
I absolutely
good,
will.
Please.
All right. So last time we did this, all three of us, I left very quickly after the show. I had things to do. In particular, something that Devin wanted to hear about. So we're going to start off our segment, We Watch This, where we talk about things we watched in pop culture over the last week or so. I watched a DC film that's been it's had a lot of hype over the last few months, and not many people are talking about it on the internet, but I know you guys want to hear about it, so you guys want to guess what film I'm talking about?
It's Joker. That's the only DC movie that's out, right?
No, it's not.
What?
It's not. I saw the Superman Christopher Reeve documentary.
I didn't know that was out.
Yes, they released it on the day after the 20th anniversary of his death. They released it last Friday wide in theaters. So this is the first film from DC Studios. The first documentary. I've always been a big fan of Christopher Reeve's story after his accident and the advocacy that he did. And so I knew a lot of the story, but seeing it presented in a, like this, I think this is the first time I've ever gone to a theater and bought a ticket to see a documentary. But this is like a topic that I was very excited to see on the big screen, because I've read his books. I'm a big Christopher Reeve fan, and when I heard they were doing this, the trailer was making me cry every time I saw it in theaters in front of Joker and Beetlejuice and all of that stuff. When I did the Batman double feature, they played it both times. I was like, oh man, this is getting me. But just seeing his journey, after his accident, and talking about his career and everything that he went through, it's very heartbreaking, but also very inspirational. And it doesn't always paint him in the best light, because he wasn't a perfect man before his accident or after. There were things that happened that not many people agreed with, and things that are, he wasn't always Superman and Clark Kent. That was just the character he played. It doesn't make him out to be the hero that everyone thinks that he is just from that character, but it's still it's still inspiring. It's still very human. And I really enjoyed this story, and I really think anyone who is interested in those films should take a look at this story, because it's heartbreaking, it's inspirational, it's funny at times, because they tell the story about Robin Williams and their friendship, and it's phenomenal. Best DC film to come out this year.
That's not surprising. I really like the fact that it did an unflinching look at him, because I know a lot of people that they think, if people have passed away, we need to only talk about the good aspects of them, but we forget that they're human, right? Mm-hmm. There are good parts and there are bad parts to everyone, and being able to show the bad parts, but then say, because of all of this, it made the good that he did better. Yeah. I like that a lot, and I think that's really respectful.
Yeah. And there were things with his advocacy about looking for a cure and being determined to walk again. People in the disabled community being saying that we need a cure means that you're making it sound like there is something wrong with us. Mm-hmm. So I definitely see both sides of that, and mm-hmm. It gave me a lot more respect for his wife, because she's such a big part of that story too, and her story is just as present in the film, because they talk to his kids. His kids are the main people in this movie. But then you also have other celebrities like Jeff Daniels, Glenn Close, Susan Sarandon. And they use his narration from his audiobooks, I think, as the voice. So
that's very cool.
Yeah.
Is this streaming anywhere?
Not yet. It probably will be on Max soon. It had the CNN Films HBO documentary thing, so it'll be on Max eventually. But it was cool seeing just the clips of the Superman movies on the big screen. So even Superman 4 made an appearance.
Good.
My favorite line from his autobiography, from his memoir, Still Me, is the less said about Superman 4, the better. So, So yeah, that's the good DC film I saw. And since you guys didn't have anything else, I'm gonna talk about the bad DC film I saw, which is Joker 2: Folie Deux. Oh boy, what have you guys heard about Joker 2?
Ron, what have you heard?
And unless you like jazz music and random instrumentals, you're really not going to enjoy it. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
I mean, all I know is that it's okay. So a little bit more, I guess. So I know that Joaquin Phoenix apparently made this came to him in a dream during the pandemic or something like that, and he like ran to the director and like they gave him complete freedom. They were just like, whatever you dreamed, that's what we're making. And I know that it's a musical, but they play that down in the trailers quite a bit. I know that Lady Gaga is Harley Quinn, and it's a direct sequel to the original Joker movie. That's all I know. I don't know how much of that's right.
This movie is so bizarre that I even question if it is a direct sequel to the original Joker movie.
What?
Yeah. I did not like it. I did a whole review on this with Josh Howell over on my other podcast, Brilliant But Lazy, which you can find wherever you stream your podcast and here on YouTube. But Lady Gaga is good in this. The film's big, like one of its weak points is they don't use her enough. They don't market it as a musical. The musical stuff works fine. It's just boring. It's so boring. And it makes a point to say anyone who liked the first film and saw Arthur as a hero and inspirational, like, you're the problem. Like, it calls out the audience, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. But it's so boring that I don't care.
Wow.
Like, I was on my phone in the theater watching this because I was that uninterested in the movie.
Was it just like the plot and the writing that was uninteresting, or was it?
It's a courtroom drama, and it's it's a courtroom drama with a musical element, and Harvey Dent's the district attorney. Like, it's so bizarre. The way they treat Harley Quinn and Joker's origin story, like their relationship, could have been so much better if they stuck it a little bit closer to the original source material, but they don't. Like, they just do this other thing, and it just fell flat for me because they could have. There's one change they could have made to the movie, and I would have been like, okay, that makes it worth it. Like, that was the twist that I wanted to see coming, and they just didn't deliver. The poster that I have up on the screen right now is Joker and Harley Quinn on the steps from the first film doing the dance.
Yeah.
Not in the movie. Like, there's a whole sequence of them that's not in the movie at all. Like, there's Gaga had a whole song number on those stairs, and they just cut it. The musical elements worked for me for the most part, but they were so few and far between that it was so boring.
Seems like such a fascinating movie. I really want to watch it. I think one of the like think pieces I saw on it said that like this movie's actually ahead of its time, and that in years from now we're gonna look back on it and realize how dumb we were to clearly off-put this gem of a film.
Well, I've seen other people talk about how like this movie is incredibly depressing, and that it's just one of those things where it's like you leave the theater in a bad mood, like just because of like regardless if you don't like it as a film, like it's just one of those things where it's like even if you do, you leave the movie with like a sense of dread and just meh because of the aspect of how they did it. Yeah. So like I'm not really surprised.
That's how to sell me on a movie, getting, though.
Like crapped.
Yeah, tell me that I'm gonna leave the movie with a sense of dread. I want to watch that movie.
You would.
There is an element of that. Like the ending, it definitely ends on a down note. But I don't want to spoil it because it's still in the
You got to
theaters.
make us watch this for the podcast. Then you have to.
I will.
Look,
We will.
If you're making us watch this movie, Madam Web, you have to make us watch Joker. Then
You know, gun to my head, I don't know which one's worse. Like,
no, I can't
Yeah.
imagine Joker was this bad. It's got competent actors.
Actually-
I mean,
there was a moment in Joker.
So
Okay,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, so there was a meme that I saw that perfectly illustrates this. Have you guys seen the meme of like the silhouette of like the fantasy knights, and the one is bowing to the other one and like handing its sword to the
Yeah.
one standing up? So someone had Madam Web over the one that was kneeling, and on the sword it said "Worst movie of 2024," and it had Joker 2 as the knight that was standing up. And I've seen that meme on multiple different like geek centric groups on Facebook and on pages on Instagram, that this isn't just like a small percentage of people thinking. This is across the board. There's a large section of people making that same thought.
Yeah.
Or having that same
Well, that's part of the reason we're doing Madam Web today, is because I wanted to dive into that a bit. But I will say, like, there's a moment in Joker where somebody has a line of dialogue, and I just hear somebody behind me in the theater go, "Ha!" Like they just laughed out loud. It wasn't a funny line. It wasn't a joke. It was just a conversation. Somebody says something, and they just laughed at it before and when we do the film on the podcast, I will tell you what that line was, because it's out there.
ugh.
But it could have been better. I was disappointed.
I want
So
to
if
like
you-
this movie out of spite.
Yeah, you would. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Joker 2. If you want to hear my whole conversation with Josh Howell over on Brilliant But Lazy, you can find that wherever you get your podcasts and on victimsandvillains.net. All right, let's get into today's main topic, the formerly worst film of the year, Madam Web, starring Dakota Johnson. This is a Sony Marvel film that released earlier this year. Let me pull up the IMDb quick and just get the synopsis. This is a film that I saw because of Brilliant But Lazy, but I'm also like the guy who will go see every Marvel film. So in Madam Web, forced to confront her past, Cassandra Webb, a Manhattan paramedic that may have a clairvoyant abilities, forms a relationship with three young women destined to futures if they can... Wait, why did it cut it off? If they can survive their threatening present.
Is that what we watched?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah. So this is based on the Marvel character Madam Web, who... Are you guys familiar with Madam Web as a character at all?
Only from the
I
TV
wasn't
show.
before.
Okay. Yeah, I only know her from the animated series,
I am now.
Yeah.
where she was the old lady in a chair who was always like, "Come here, Spider-Man." Like,
Yeah. That's it.
So yeah, there's a lot to talk about this movie. I saw this in theaters opening day, I think. And this is one that I was like, oh boy. Like, as the movie was happening, I was like, seeing issues with it, because I knew some things about the production of this going into it. And there are things happening in the press around this movie when it came out that we'll talk about. So I'm not a big fan of this movie. I think it's probably the worst of the Sony Marvel films that don't have Spider-Man in them. Like, I would put this below Morbius as the, like, like yeah. So I'm not a big fan of this movie, but there's a lot to talk about with this movie. So I want to hear what you guys thought of Madam Web.
Ryan, why don't you go first? Because my thoughts are also on Brilliant but Lazy with Alan and Josh. Found wherever podcasts can be listened to. Why don't you...
Wait, were you on that episode?
I certainly was.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
But Ryan, what did you think?
I went into this movie expecting it to be like, because I hadn't heard one good thing about this movie from literally anyone. Like, I never ran into any comment, any person, like that actually liked it. So I was just like, okay, this is going to be a dumb movie, and that's how I went into it. And so a lot of the stuff that, like, it's just bad. And I feel bad for like half all of the actors involved in this movie. So yeah.
So, Alan, I have to ask you a question before I answer this. Did you rewatch it for this this week?
I almost didn't. I was almost
okay.
I was almost like, you know what? I can just look at that one meme that I saw that listed like all the things that, like, pick the one that didn't happen in the movie, and then oh no, they all happened. I almost just read that, and then it's like, I'll be good. I was like, no, I'll watch it. I was doing other stuff while I watched it, but yeah, I watched it.
Okay, yeah, I did too. You know what? I've almost gone a 180 on the movie.
Oh, really?
It might for me now fall into this so bad it's fun to watch category, because and it's not that I would show this to friends. Like, I would never want like a movie night of this like The Room, but like every time I dig into this movie, I keep finding more scenes that are unintentionally hilarious. And like, there is like a solid group online that's like, this movie's camp, it's meant to be camp, that's what you're watching. It's not meant to be. I really don't think it's meant to be camp. I think it's meant to be a very serious, straightforward movie that had a lot of production issues. But now I'm to the point where I'm not mad that it's bad. I'm happy about the parts that are very funny and very bad.
Yeah. We need to get into that, because I completely agree with that statement.
Do you? Do you think it was funny?
Yeah, so there were parts of it where I'm just like, that's what they're going with? That's the line they gave him? That's how they're doing this? Mm-hmm. And whenever that happened, it more or less put a smile on my face, to where I'm just like, okay, this is definitely interesting. I wouldn't say good. But overall, it's just one of those things. This movie did not redeem itself, even going into it expecting it to be bad. And that's just... You don't come across that a lot.
But it's like one of those things where it's like not like a train wreck, but it's like every time a part would happen, I'd be like, pull Romani, like, come look at this. Look, do you remember the part where they do the thing? Or like, look, he says these lines, watch. He's gonna say, you don't know what it's like, but his mouth isn't gonna move. Watch. Like, I love it.
I noticed that. that.
It's so much more obvious, like, watching it the second time, how bad the ADR is for him, because they definitely went back and redid all of his whole story arc. Because I did some research in this. Ryan, how much do you know about the original story of this film?
Practically nothing.
Okay. Originally, this is going to be inspired by Terminator, and the evil Spider-Man was going to go back in time to kill young Peter Parker before he's born, and all the Spider-Women have to help protect Mary Parker, and Madam Web helps them. And there's like concept art of evil Spider-Man fighting Tom Holland Spider-Man out there, like for this movie. That has been leaked. Yeah. So they got away from that at some point during production.
Why? No one will ever know.
But I'm looking at it this time. I was like, is it possible that they meant for this to be in the Tom Holland MCU? Because the other thing is, like, when they were casting this, Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney both tagged Marvel Studios. So there's an implication that they thought they were in an MCU film when they weren't. Ryan, I want you to guess which universe this takes place in. I'll give you. Do you want me to give you options?
Universe 420. There we go.
I'll give you options. We already said it's not in the MCU, so we'll eliminate that one. Is this in the Venom universe, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man universe, or the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe?
Oh, I actually don't know the answer to this.
Well, since there's an aspect of the storyline that, as far as I'm concerned as a fan, puts this in its own universe.
That's the right answer.
Without massive,
yeah, it's in its own
without
universe.
Like massive like fan theories. This is in its own thing. It has.
Why make a new universe? Why make a whole new one just for this? We already have enough.
Well, I think that originally they were going to have it be connected to another universe, and then somebody made the decision, no, we're not doing that. Like, if there's concept art of Tom Holland Spider-Man in this, like, I think the original intention was this is going to be an MCU story, like MCU adjacent story. But they got away from that. Because timeline wise, it kind of works if like the film takes place in 2003. Then the timeline kind of works for that.
I want to talk about that for a second. It does a little bit though, yeah. Can they talk about the 2003 of it all? Did you guys like that?
I love it.
Because I thought that was really cool.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
That's the summer I turned 18. So
nice.
Anything set in like 2003, 2004, or 2, like I'm all over. Stop eating my chair.
Here's the thing with the 2003 of it all. Like, they make specific references to things that don't happen in 2003.
That's my favorite part.
Britney Spears' Toxic was released in January 2004.
Yep.
Martha Stewart doesn't go to jail until 2004. Like,
yeah. So as things were happening, I was looking them up, and those were 2 times that I actually paused the movie.
Yeah.
And I researched, and I'm like, no. Toxic didn't come out until like I was a senior, or like in college, like that. No, until I was a senior, and then the whole Martha Stewart thing, I paused it. I'm like, no, and then I saw that again. Like, I really wonder if again there was a disconnect between what year this was supposed to be set in.
I think so.
Like aesthetically, 3 and 4 are the same. Like,
originally, there were rumors that this movie was supposed to take place during the 90s. So, but there's not really much evidence of that left in the film. But the NSA aspect of like Ezekiel's whole plan fits into the early 2000s because 9/11.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing that we need to kind of talk about is the whole like 2003 and like him getting like a code to break into the NSA and like do all of the like like phones and security cameras and all this other stuff. And I was like, and it put me back to something that, as far as that was big in my world at that time, which was the ability of like the Patriot Act and like what that actually did. That was passed in October of 2001, like 2001 in October, and I was like, okay, I need to re-look at this because it's been years. And I was like, okay, so what were the key things that like that did? And after I read it, I'm like, yep, that's not a stretch of the imagination. Like the actual hardware and software she's using, that's a stretch. But the capabilities of like what she's able to do, maybe a team could have done to what she's doing. Yeah, stop chewing on the Ethernet cord. Sorry.
Brian's gonna cut out in a second.
That's it. The cat needs to go out. Come on, Albie. I'm sorry.
But I mean, you're
Come on.
right. I mean, I think that part is a smart decision in terms of plot for the time period that they're setting it in. Like, that's a really
Yeah.
good, smart choice the movie makes.
It's hard for me to take any of those scenes seriously though, because the way his lines are dubbed so poorly.
They're so bad.
Oh yeah, and not even that. They're horrible lines.
Yeah.
Like half the stuff he says is just bad. It's just written horribly.
Yeah, one of my favorites is, believe me, it's a good thing you had no idea today was the day you were going to die.
Oh, no. Oh, and everyone gets bad lines in this movie. Everyone does. Madam Web, when we get to the end, she has like I complain about this all the time. She has the worst sequence of 3 lines I think I've ever heard in a movie. And then, like, everyone is more cringe-inducing than the last. And, like, it's just so... Didn't Dakota Johnson in one interview be like, this was an AI-written movie or something like that? Because I believe it.
She was not very happy with how the film came out. When the first trailer was released, she fired her agency. Like a week later.
Wow.
Her whole press tour was very unhinged, and she was very like, yeah, it is what it is. It's a Marvel movie. I had to act on a blue screen. Like it sucked. Like it drives you
She was
insane.
like, I'm never dealing with these people ever again.
Yeah.
That's...
And like that's one way to go about it. But then like you have Sydney Sweeney, who's kind of blown up since this. Like somebody brought it up in an interview with her, and she was like Madam Web is what it is, but like I used my time on that to build relationship with Sony, and that's how she got that rom-com with Glenn Powell, like greenlit, like that came like right after this. So like she was able to like it might not be the best, but I was able to use it to do these other things, which I think is the right way to go about it if you're going to be in this much of a mess of a movie. Like,
yeah.
But
so I have to know, because I did some internet research before, and I remember doing the same internet research before our last time we talked about it. Do you know what changed about Ezekiel's character? Because it really feels like whatever they shot was just garbage, and that they just needed to redub this weird plot about him being scared of dying.
I don't know.
Okay. Because the internet doesn't know either. At least the first page of Google results doesn't.
So I think the original idea for the film was he travels back in time to kill a young Peter Parker before he's born. So I don't know if like the stuff with him was supposed to be taking place in the future, and then he travels back, or what. But I think if they were going to do that, like Tom Holland would have shot stuff or something.
Right.
So I don't know why they had to change the dialogue. I don't know if they just needed to rework the plot a little bit, but it just seems very weird.
Well, it feels like they changed every line of dialogue he had.
They did. They really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just distracting. Was it as distracting for you, Ryan? Because like I couldn't get over it.
What was distracting was never knowing. Okay, so he was hired for security at the beginning. Like, spoilers, whatever. People can be mad. At the very beginning, he was hired to be security for this Amazonian spider research team. Got it. Okay, it's 1978 or 1978 or 6 or 7, whatever.
73.
Which originally, the way it came up, 73. Okay, yeah. So that makes it even more ridiculous. But anyway, so at the start of the movie, it says Amazon whatever 1973, and I'm like, oh, I haven't heard of that production company before, because of the way that it came up on the screen. I thought it was a production company thing, and it wasn't until they showed the year halfway through the movie that it was 1973. I was like, okay, so that took place in 1973. So 1973, he's this like security guy in like the Amazon. Got it. Okay. And then they show him in 2003, like he hasn't aged like all, except for like a beard. And did they ever say what he did for a living? Like what his company did?
No.
Whatever he was trying to build that the girls were going to stop him from doing? Like, I get that there's people out there that are tired of like complicated villains and just want someone straight out evil, but even straight out evil people have like something that they're working towards, you know, like Dr. Evil and like the mega volcano thing. Like they all have something. This guy had
The
this guy had
the thing with like the thing, like you look at something like Morbius, like you know what Matt Smith's goal was because he had the same disease Michael Morbius did. Like he's looking for a cure, and that's his motivation. Like there's at least some depth there. There's nothing here. Like I know his name's Ezekiel. He has an evil Spider-Man suit. He doesn't age in 30 years, but then like 10 years in the future, he's like 50 years older somehow with like gray hair and so like it's, and he doesn't wear shoes ever.
No.
Like it's yeah, there's, they don't treat the villain with any respect. And I think if you're going to do a superhero movie at this point, when we're 20 years into the Spider-Verse at this point, like you should know better. Like Sony's been made so many mistakes. I don't know how this movie is as bad as it is.
I think they would have learned. Well,
yeah.
So speaking of 20 years of Spider movies, can we talk about the one part that does, in my mind, just I can't get over it in terms of like, because like the Ezekiel stuff in the dubs, like yeah, it's distracting and like I catch it every time, but it becomes funny when you like point out when the dub's actually real bad. What actually genuinely bothers me is what this movie now establishes the origin of the Spider-Man suit to be. Because in every other version of Spider-Man, he's just like, I like red and blue. There's a spider in the chest because I got bit by a spider and webs. And that's kind of how the spider suit comes along. But because of this movie and because of the Amazonian spider people, the spider suit's literally cultural appropriation. And
no. I'm stopping you right there.
No, all right,
stopping
let's
you
go,
right there.
let's
So
go.
no, it is not. Because this is taking place in its own universe. Alan and I
Yes.
have already established that.
Yes.
Because the powers are coming from the world's worst evolutionary product ever. So you have a spider that has venom. Venom in the spider is used to paralyze its prey and turn its insides into liquid so it can basically drink out the insides of the other insect or small mammal, okay, or reptile, whatever. In this, whatever this spider supposedly bites, because when it bites humans, this is what happens, it gives them Spider-Man-like powers naturally. That is where this movie takes place in its own timeline compared to everything else. Because everything else, the spider needs to have either radiation treatment or genetic treatment to get it to be able to spread its abilities through its bite. This is solely its own thing. This has no... This is not going back in time and saying, oh, in 1973, there was this Amazonian culture that would paint themselves red and put fish night and would create fishnet clothing out of vines and wear it, and then you get something that resembles like a spider suit, so then everything else after that is appropriation. No, this thing is in its own universe, and it's dumb.
But the implication of the plot is that Peter Parker is in this universe, and like it is building up to this universe's version of Spider-Man.
Guess what? It's not going to happen because this movie did so bad that no other sequel is going to come out. And if it does, at this point, I'm 39 years old. I'm about to be 40. I couldn't care less about any new Spider-Man storylines in my head being what I consider to be my own canon. So like there's no point to worrying about this when it's not like this is just a one-off bad Spider-Man movie that's not going to get a sequel. I hope anyway.
It won't. My only hope for this going forward is if they're going to do Secret Wars and they're going to bring everyone in for that, I would hope that they bring in the 3 Spider-Women for that.
Yes.
Because we don't get to see them do anything. Every action scene that they have was in the trailer, and it's all in flashbacks and in dreams. So it'd be nice to see them come in for Secret Wars and get them to have cameos in that and to actually do something. I think that would be fun. I think that's the only way we'll ever see them in anything else, unless Sony is able to pull everything together into one coherent timeline so that there's not like, I don't know if Sony has a plan. We'll know more after Venom 3, but yeah, it's not looking good. I've given up hope that they've figured out anything.
The modernly speaking, so within like the past 7-8 years, as far as I know right now, the best thing to come out of Sony is the Venom series. As far as I'm concerned.
No.
What other movie am I missing?
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse.
Sony, specifically.
Yeah, that's Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
That's Sony.
Okay, so live action.
Okay, yeah. So
I'm going to narrow this down.
Action.
I would say
I'm going to narrow this down till I'm right. I'm going to narrow this down.
I would argue Ghostbusters Afterlife is their best film recently.
I haven't seen that one.
No.
Yes, you have. We did it on the show.
Ghostbusters doesn't count. I'm specifically talking about like the
Sony Marvel,
the superhero thing.
Sony Marvel.
Sony Marvel.
Yeah.
Like I'm specifically talking about superheroes.
Okay.
Like Sony's done great things outside of this narrative, but in this specific narrative, Venom live action is the best things that they've done in like 8 years, I think.
Yeah.
Because they know what those movies are. Those movies are camp. Like it's Tom Hardy talking to himself and just like they are what they are and they embrace it, and that's why in the third one you just get Venom horse and Venom frog.
Yeah,
like it's
which
gonna be.
I cannot wait. I cannot
wait.
What?
We should all go see that together when you're here.
Wait, can we see it together when I'm
we
here?
We can go see it like it comes out the week before you get in.
Yes, done. Yep,
yeah,
we have to. Yep.
In IMAX. Let's do it in IMAX.
I was, because I was talking to Romana about this, and we saw the trailer, and I don't like Venom movies. I just don't. And we saw the trailer, and Romana goes, "I have no interest in it." And I go, "We have to see it in theaters. We have to. We saw the first 2 in theaters. We have to finish it."
Yeah.
So we're gonna see it in theaters, and why not see it when we're in town?
Yeah.
It'll
be a group outing.
I love it. I love it.
But yeah, no, the Venom movies are fun. It just gives me another Tom Hardy voice to do. Eddie. Like, So I've been watching a lot of Parks and Rec lately. And this movie very much wastes Adam Scott.
I think he's the best part of the movie, to be fair.
He is, but they don't use him well. Like I think when we did this before, I called the movie out for not even saying his last name, which they do once. They're like, "Oh, Ben Parker," and then they like they don't say his sister-in-law's last name at all. They don't name the baby at all. It's just very bizarre how they handled that whole thing. They don't say May. They don't say Rich. I think they do say Richard. They don't say Peter. They don't say May. It's almost like they didn't have the rights to say those character names. Like, it's very bizarre. But I was wondering,
and they tried to play it off the best they could.
Yeah.
Oh, you're taking this one seriously, huh?
So Ryan, I want to know this, right? I missed that the baby was Peter Parker the first time I watched it, and like I wasn't like on my phone. I watched it in a theater, right? Like I was paying attention, and I was just like, oh, the balloon pop during the baby name. And during the podcast, Alan's like, yeah, Devin, that's Peter Parker. Did you catch that? Like, what did I miss?
You missed the fact that okay, so when she's holding the baby, at
Mm-hmm.
some point someone calls him Ben. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I was like, okay. And then someone either before or after that scene, or after, I believe it was after, reference him as being like, "You're gonna make a great uncle," or something like that. And then that's when
Oh.
Ben Uncle's Spider-Man movie. I was like, okay, this is a Spider-Man movie. People have hated on this. That guy's name is Ben. Okay, whatever. It might just be a stupid coincidence, but whatever. I don't trust it. And
Mm-hmm.
then towards the end, someone was like, "Oh, you're gonna make a great uncle. Don't worry about it." And I'm just like, "Oh, that's Peter."
Oh,
Like,
okay. So it was like at the end. It wasn't like during the like baby shower scene.
I don't believe.
I think no. I think they do. They do.
Yeah.
They do the uncle thing earlier on in the film. So like I think that
Oh,
is
do
the
they?
baby shower.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Ben's so excited
Okay,
to be
yeah.
an uncle. Yeah. Devin's over here thinking that
Yeah.
this is a origin to the rice company.
That was it. He's gonna go on to take on Zatarans.
My sister sent me a picture a few weeks ago of my nephew in his Halloween costume, and
Mhm.
he's going as Spider-Man, like the Miles Morales Spider-Man.
That's so cool. It's my
And I messaged her back, like, "That's awesome," but as his uncle, I have mixed feelings about this. She's like, "Why?" I was like, "Spider-Man's uncle doesn't fare out too well." She's like, "What do you mean?" It's like Uncle Ben, Uncle Aaron, Uncle Ben
All of
again.
this.
Like,
Yeah.
doesn't
Be
end well
careful.
for yeah.
Alan,
I don't want
careful.
to. I straight up told her, like, I don't want to be a canon of it. So,
Oh.
yeah. And then Emma Roberts is in here as Peter Parker's mom.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Also wasted.
So I want to like my favorite thing to come out of this movie is a meme that I saw on the internet that I can read to you guys.
Okay.
It is all of these things happen in Madam Web except for one. And when you read them out loud in like a bullet point list like this, this movie sounds ridiculous. So I'm going to do that now. So if you have not seen Madam Web, I'm going to spoil some of it for you. Which one of these is the lie? Madam Web is born in a cave in Peru with the help of magic spider people. 3 spider women never get powers and are only seen in costumes during dream sequences. Evil Spider-Man is killed by a large Pepsi sign. Madam Web becomes wanted for kidnapping by the NYPD.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Web runs down Evil Spider-Man in her car, not once, but twice. Peter Parker is born but not named. Madam Web inexplicably splits into 3 copies of herself near the end of the film.
All of it.
All of it happens.
It's all of it. And it sounds insane. Can we talk about that last point though? Because I think that's like the only situation that Madam Web's powers are cinematic.
Yeah. No, it
like,
really is.
They found it. I mean, first off, like props for finding the one situation that makes this character's powers look very cool. Because I was actually impressed with that scene. I thought it was neat.
Yeah, it's very much Doctor Strange with the astral projection type stuff.
Yes.
That's how I described it to a coworker today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And
Doctor Strange of the Spider-Man universe.
Mm-hmm.
it also like the when she first crashes into the river in the car and has that first vision like that, like seeing all the different pieces, that kind of works cinematically as well, but they don't really do that well because the rest of it just feels like it's a record skipping. Like it's just cutting back and cutting back. Like it's like, okay, we already saw this. Like move the film forward.
So was it interesting? Like when she like at any time, even when they first did it, where he like makes the joke about needing to see like a real paramedic or a real doctor or something, I'm like, I know I saw this. And
Yeah.
like, so it's right away, it's already grating, I think.
Yeah.
I think what they were trying to do was put you in her headspace of how weird the situation is, and kind of even make you question, hang on, did this actually happen? Because I've seen that before in other like movies with like time skips or, like deja vu sequences where it's done pretty much the same way. The scene's done and then it just restarts. And for
Hmm.
some reason, the way they did it, even though I can't explain how it's any different than anything else I've actually seen, why it doesn't work this time.
Yeah. Well,
Because it's just, yeah,
for
I,
me, it's partly her is the problem, and not her acting, because her acting is good. It's the writing that goes behind it. It's like if I woke up tomorrow with amnesia, Alan and Ryan, you would almost never know, because I would try my hardest to pretend like I knew exactly what was going on at every minute. I wouldn't be one of those amnesiacs that wakes up like, "Who are you? What is that?" I would just like pretend like everything's cool. And I think part of what didn't work for me was Dakota Johnson, like in the middle of like any time, just being like, "This already happened. We just did this." And I'm like, come on, like people don't act like that, right? Or am I just like overly accommodating?
I mean, it's one thing to
like,
be like,
I don't know.
we already did this, but like, I would see like, I just got the weird sense of deja vu. Like,
That it would have been that, right?
yeah.
Like,
Um,
So, one of my first thoughts after like the second time it happened, and I was watching, I'm like, oh, it's her spider sense. Okay. Like that's how I took it at
right.
first because like it only happened when like the plot needed it to happen, except for at the very beginning when like it was showing you what was happening. Like it was showing you that it was something that she couldn't control. She couldn't explain it, but it was happening. And then after that was established, it only happened when it was like storyline necessary,
Yeah.
which that kind of annoyed me.
Well, what would you have wanted to see? Would you have wanted to see like her like not taking a sip of spoiled milk?
No, I would have wanted the original idea of the story with the Terminator theme. That's what I would have wanted.
What? Okay, so I would have wanted, because I thought about this a lot too. There's a Nicolas Cage movie. Is it
next.
called Next? The
Yeah.
Next is what I wanted. Yes, I wanted that.
Uh, I would have wanted Face Off. Could you imagine if like um,
Dakota
Peter
Johnson.
Parker and no, 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 no. Okay, so Face Off with okay, my mind went outside of Madam Web to like a completely different
I
movie
have
with
a perfect one.
like different actors.
Go
Like
ahead.
take take Spider-Man 2, okay,
Hmm.
have that end the way it ends, and then Spider-Man 3 picks up, and Peter Parker and I forget his name, the Osborn kid.
Harry
They are
Osborn.
like making amends, and yeah, so like they're making amends, and I don't know, the Rhino guy or the Sand guy comes out of nowhere and like damages the both of them, and then they're so badly disfigured and like torn up that the surgeons accidentally mix their faces up, and then you just go from there.
Devin, what was your thought?
J. Jonah Jameson and Peter Parker swap
Silence, love it.
faces. J. Jonah Jameson acts like Peter Parker or acts like Spider-Man, but evil to help sell his narrative and therefore more copies of the Daily Bugle.
Do you guys know about the Superior Spider-Man story arc?
No idea.
It's kind of a face-off thing where Otto Octavius takes over the body of Peter Parker. Like I think they swap brains.
How did? Oh,
Yeah.
weird.
It's supposedly a really good arc. I haven't read it yet, but I'm trying to see if I have it.
That is very fun.
But yeah, that's actually an actual storyline that they've done in the comics where Doc Ock is Spider-Man
Hmm.
in
That's
Peter
fun.
Parker's body.
But
So
yeah. Devin, my real answer is pretty much the same answer I gave you for Theodore Rex, which is I don't know if there would have been a way to do it in this story that they made, I don't know how they would have fixed it correctly, because I feel like any way that she does it is still going to be annoying. And it's not because of her, it's the writing. It's what she had to do.
Real quick sidebar. I'm looking down at my headphones. I'm like, what is this white stuff in the cord? I still have whipped cream from the Mrs. Doubtfire episode in my headphone cord, like in the coil.
I'm so proud.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Hello. Anything else we want to talk about with Madam Web?
One more thing. What was your least favorite line in the whole movie? Because for me, it changed.
What was yours?
So for me, it changed. When I first watched the movie, it was the series of lines that were at the end where she just kept speaking in metaphor and wouldn't speak literally. Where she literally goes from, I have all the family I need right here. No, you don't. They're not their family. To, I've never seen more clearly in my life. No, you can't. Stop it. Like, the fact that they're back to back, I hate. But now they're funny to me. Now I've gone full circle. It's like the perfect cherry on top of this movie. My least favorite line is, those three, or something like, you kept thinking those three ladies were your future, but I am. Pepsi sign falls on the guy. She's not your future. I don't know what the hell you're talking about there. Pepsi sign delivers the punchline.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that last scene you were talking about comes, like, this movie is set in, like, 2003, and this is a movie that should have came out in 2003. Just saying. Especially with that ending. Like, her costume with, like, the really, like, because she was sitting in the chair, and I'm like, please not let it be the stupid thin frames. Please don't let it be the stupid thin frames. And she spun around, and it was the stupid pinched off thin frames. And I'm like, this is such a bad Professor X, like aesthetic thing that they're trying to do. It was so bad.
Ryan, what was your favorite line?
I forget what it was, but he was like sitting on stairs when he says it. The villain, like, he's sitting on the stairs of his apartment and he's talking to the lady that he has, like, working the, like, desk, which, I mean, even that's a role that they could have expanded on a little bit, just to even give, you know, like, that. But, like, he says something, and I'm just sitting there going, I think this is the first time I've ever heard lines. And I'm like, that's dumb, because usually I just let this stuff flow over me and I just continue to watch and whatever. But it was like one of the few times where I'm like, that was a bad line.
Was it they're teenagers now, but in the future they have powers and will destroy me?
That's probably
No, it wasn't even. It might be, but, like, he was sitting on the stairs and he sits up and he says it, and that might be what he says at that point. But yeah, like, it's dumb. It's all, everything from his entire character and the storyline behind it, to the fact that you only get a very narrow glimpse. Like, they put her in a super suit. They put her in a super suit costume, and all you get is like red painted over ski goggles and, like, the very top shoulders of what her, like, outfit is. And it's just
every single choice in this was just I love it.
And I'm not this person. I'm usually like, oh yeah, no, it's like, it's all up to the individual. There's no real thing as a bad movie because someone's gonna like it. No, this was just bad. It was crap.
Yeah.
I'm the person that likes it. It's now me.
I have two lines that make me cringe. The one that everyone loves is he was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died. Like, that got called out at the Oscars. Like, it's a bad line. Like, it became a meme, and a reporter asked Dakota Johnson what she thought about it being a meme, and she's like, I don't understand what that means. Like, why is it a meme? Why are they making fun of it? Like, I don't understand. But for me, like, it's the worst version of with great power comes great responsibility. That is the most cringeworthy for me, because when you take on the responsibility, great power will come. Like, no, that's not how that's not how it works.
Right.
Great power doesn't do that. Like that's
No.
that's a whole other thing. Movie. Like,
They flipped
no.
it and said it wrong.
Yeah. When you take on the responsibility, great power will come.
No.
No.
I looked up lines from Madam Web, and there's a still of Dakota Johnson at the end with the caption, "It's webbing time," and that's now my favorite line.
You guys know I play Marvel Legendary.
Yeah.
I bought an expansion that has Morbius in it just because I had a card that says it's Morbin time. And I have not played it yet. So maybe when you're in town, Devin, we'll just do an extended show, talk about Venom, and play Legendary on
That would be
stream.
great. That would be great.
Yeah.
It's got to be morbid time.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's all I've got on Madam Web.
That's all I got.
Are you guys excited for Venom: The Last Stand? The Last Dance.
Ironically, yes.
The Last Dance. And then there's a not 2 but 3 Sony Marvel movies coming out this year. Have you guys seen the trailer for Kraven the Hunter?
No.
Yes.
Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven the Hunter.
Okay.
And Devin, I want you to guess which actor from the early 2000s is playing the main character's dad in a superhero movie.
Ashton Kutcher.
No, like a Academy Award winning actor. He's done it before. He's appeared in 2 other superhero franchises.
Ben Affleck.
No.
Damn it. I don't know. Who?
He was an aspect of the sequel to his big film that is also releasing later this year because his character was dead.
The sequel to his big film?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm stuck on the guy that used to play War Machine before War Machine, but it's not him.
He's not
Who is
gonna,
it?
he's not going to.
No, I'm not. Who is
Russell
it?
Crowe.
Russell Crowe?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he was also in Thor, Love and Thunder, and he was also in Man of Steel.
Yeah, but he's in this now? Is he Thor's dad?
No, he's Kraven the Hunter's dad.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Which fits.
And he's
So,
not
but
and he's not coming back for Gladiator 2.
No, well, right, because he's dead in that one.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah.
stupid. Okay, I get it. It's all connecting now.
But guess what?
Wow.
Rhino.
What?
They're doing Rhino again. Yeah.
Wait, is Paul Giamatti going to be Rhino, though?
No.
Damn it.
But have you seen the Venom 3 trailer where the lizard actor is in it?
No.
Yeah, he's in it. Like, what does it mean?
Why do they keep popping him up?
I don't know. Like, why? Like, it explains why he wasn't in Dance with House of the Dragons or whatever this last season.
Man.
But
Imagine missing out on that to film Threnum.
film what?
Threnum.
Threnum. Okay.
Threnum. The third Venom. Threnum. Imagine missing it. It's like that time in college I purposely declined a part in a Shakespeare play to play Aslan in the chapel drama production of Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I just wore a goalie outfit and some yarn around my head. It's like that.
My hopes for Venom 3 is that when Venom becomes Venom Horse, he's just like,
Actually, might be cool.
Whose pick is it next week?
Ryan's.
Well, Devin, are you sure you didn't want to actually do a pick so that
We could even ourselves out.
yeah.
I didn't prepare anything for tonight. It's been a very long day.
Oh. Okay.
You have to keep riding. I have to keep riding on your guys' shoulders until I get my shit together. I promise it'll only be one more week.
I was trying to wait to get to closer. See, because my movie pick, I picked specifically because it was going to be close to Halloween.
Oh, then let me pick.
like-
Let me pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pick. I'll pick tomorrow after the podcast.
Okay. Well, to find out what we're doing next week, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch our podcast every week. You can also listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are catching up on our backlogs again. And hopefully after this catch up, we will be caught up and stay there.
Nice.
Now that things are balancing out for me. Until next time, if you're going to be at New York Comic Con, come say hi. I will be there with our friend, my other co-host, Josh Howell at his booth. Let me figure out which booth he's going to be at so I can tell you guys. Come to New York Comic Con, booth 2037. Josh and I will be there selling his books. Come say hi. We have Brilliant But Lazy merch. I'll have some stuff from You Have to Watch This podcast as well. So come on out. Come say hi. And until next time for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
Oh, I had a line. Where to go. And you know the best thing about the future, boys? It hasn't happened yet. We'll see you next week. Oh, we also didn't talk about how bizarre of an ending song, like ending credits song, Dreams was by his, like.
It's
it makes
one
no
of those
sense.
things where like, well, no, it's like they didn't like look beyond the title. They're like dreams. You get it because she's like having dreams. You'll get it. The audience will get it, and then they just like put it on. Awful.
Yeah.
Abysmal choice.
Yep. All right.